I want to talk about some common tactics used to deceive you in graphs. So when you see graphs in the media, in the newspaper, in magazines, on your news source on the internet, on the TV news, they're trying to get your attention, and they will often use ploys to make things look more dire than they really are. I mean, sometimes they are that dire, but they're a lot of times trying to emphasize a point, and they're doing it in a deceptive way by kind of gerrymandering the data. So I'm going to go over these 17 through 20 in the book, which give you kind of just some general ideas of what are some common tricks you might see. So the issue with number 17, you look, well, that's a pretty standard bar graph. That seems pretty good. But if you look, that vertical axis doesn't start at 0. It starts at 200. Okay, so it makes it look like the no's are everyone. Well, it's not really, because it started at 200, and then the yeses are much smaller. Is the yeses much smaller? Yes, but not to the proportion they showed. So in general, as soon as I see a vertical axis that starts at somewhere other than 0, I go, what are they trying to hide? And what they're usually trying to do is they're trying to make differences look bigger by, shrinking that. If I would redo this between 0 and 700, the graph would look different. Would the yeses still look a lot less? Yes, but it wouldn't look as extreme. Now in 18, similar thing. So you can see here the New York City subway went from $1 to $2.50. But the area of these two, so if you look at the dollar bill for 1986 and the dollar bill for the current one, it's not 2.5 times bigger. It's actually like 6. Now, I know it's 6 because it told me it was 6. I looked up the value. You could sit down and measure it and do it. The idea, though, being here is that they're exaggerating the differences. Again, you don't need to know it's 6 times as big versus 2.5 times as big to understand that the $1 bill for the current subway shouldn't be that big comparatively. And again, they're trying to exaggerate the difference by doing that. This would be better, honestly, this would be better to show the dip from 1986 to, whatever the current cost is whenever this was written, a yearly one, and do a time series graph. That would be a much better. And you would still see it increasing, but you could see how it increased in a much better way. Okay, this one here, so you can see here, this is the cost of giving birth, a C-section versus a vaginal delivery. And the issue with here is they're using 3D images. These are two-dimensional values, okay? They're using 3D. You never want to use 3D. Now, everyone loves pictograms. They're so cool. Yes, but they're incredibly deceptive. And here again, you can see that 2600 to 45 isn't quite, if I doubled 26, I would get 52. The one baby bottle looks well over half again as big, especially when you start factoring in volume, than the original one. So again, they're exaggerating it, and you should never use three-dimensional objects because these are two-dimensional values. But again, people like to use them, and they're trying to emphasize the differences. Is it, obviously a C-section is more expensive. It's true. I've had 2 of them. I can attest to this. But is it as big as they're showing? No. Again, they're just trying to do that. Same thing here. This is the same thing. It shouldn't be 3D, and they're trying to exaggerate the differences here. If you look at this, you can see here we go from 24 to 33. This looks like it's a standard growth. It is not. You can see here that it's not. This grow about 10. This is like 20. And then this is 30. That's not what I'm seeing as I'm looking at this. So again, we don't want 3D. And it doesn't, the problem too is 3D doesn't do a good job of really showing us the differences. They're just trying to show you, oh, hey, this is so much more. And certainly, but I can tell you, I didn't pay anything for my second degree. Well, I did. I had to work for it. I was a graduate assistant. So I can look at that and go, that's not true of me. What is that? Oh, income levels. Well, never mind. I didn't read the actual thing. I thought that was how much it costs. Oh, well, I'm on a different subject. That also is a different subject. But again, here, they're trying to, really show the difference. And it's true, and it depends on what it is, though. I can tell you, someone with a, mechanic's license makes a heck of a lot more than I do. And I have a lot more degrees than they do, but they have a technical skill that is in high demand. A lot of those technical degrees are super duper valuable. Well, they might not be a bachelor's degree. A lot of them are associate's degrees and all those certificates. So, nothing wrong with trade school. It is incredibly valuable. So, like, looking at this, I would go, well, where's trade school? That's obviously way off topic. But hopefully this helps you go over what you're looking for deceiving and some thoughts, some things to look at as you go through and do the homework.